Every video you guys keep telling me my audio is too quiet. It's always in the red though. It's always peaking in the red. I did change it for this video. I don't know if you guys are going to notice or not, but let me know if you notice. Today we are taking a look at Ela, the Light Totemist. This seems like such a fun unit to actually get. It's an LD5. This is one of the most rare units in the game since it's so new. So very, very, very few people actually have this unit. But this is a unit. She's kind of like, she reminds me a little bit of Ganymede meets Mav. Not really so much. I mean, the Mav, because her skill 4, her totem skill, will decrease the cooldowns of all allies. But it also does immunity. It also does a 20% heal. So she's not quite just what you saw there. It's not quite like Mav, so I don't really know why it reminds me of Mav. First skill is a heal. Second skill is an immunity for 1 turn on all allies. Third skill is a cooldown reset on one of her allies. She can't use it on herself, but is a cooldown reset on one of her allies. Why would she use it on herself? She got the totem skill anyway. Anyway, cooldown reset on one of her allies, and then also increases the attack gauge by 50%. So it's a really nice unit to use. I mean, she doesn't do an attack buff like Riley, so it's not as good with like damage dealing, like straight attack power based damage dealing units. But I think it's gonna be great with things that do damage based on HP, because then it's a nice support unit to combo with those, and then gives more access to, for example, like Molong. Right, like it gives more access to Wusa. So Wusa's basically got infinite immunity there. It gives more access to Molong to do skill 3. It also has a few skills to heal up the Molong, so you could definitely use it with Molong. You could definitely use it with the Dark Sylphid things, and Wusa, and also Wusa, and then Seer. Anything. You know what? Use it with anything. It's just an amazing. Let's just see some more matches. I don't know why I keep talking so much. Next match, different player now. We got the Sekhmet over there. We got the, both players going to have LD5s on the battlefield. We got the Savannah. Savannah's Shungpung, such a fun combination to use. Every time I use it, Violent Procs, 150% of the time. Sekhmet Charming Voice on Shungpung. I noticed a lot of people like to pick, not a lot of people like to pick Sekhmet, just the players that like to pick Sekhmet like to do it into the Shungpungs, into the Gani Hathors, into things that have like, I mean, things that need to be CC'd, that would absolutely dominate, that have long cooldowns, right? So I don't know why I say that like as if it's some kind of shock, some kind of surprise. I wonder if they played the Lima a little bit different. Okay, so Lima comes back from the dead, Vanessa's passive. They didn't do that. They were going for the turn cycling on the Lima, but I wonder if they just went for the invincibility. That might have been a more effective play. I mean, just 2 different play styles. So looks like that was a fast game. But I think if it was me, I would have gone for just the invincibility immunity. But again, two different play styles. Next match, different player than the last 2. Wusa first pick, which is always a great. She's a fantastic combination with Wusa. I already mentioned that, but she's just, Wusa's already so strong by himself. Just pairing her with Wusa just makes it ridiculous. She's going to keep decreasing the cooldowns, and he's going to be like, hey, by the way, I'm invincible now. Welcome to Summoner's War. Why did they buff? We already had this conversation many times, as well as many other channels. Bolverk, though, is going to be nice on the opponent's side, because the Wusa, I mean, he didn't really get anything turn 1 from the Wusa stacks, but yeah, every time Ela does immunity, every time Wusa does immunity, Bolverk's going to stack. So that's kind of where they're hoping to get a lot of their value from. But aside from that, there's immunity from Wusa, there's immunity from Ela in 2 different skills. So there's going to be a lot of immunity. I wonder if I would even be as concerned about killing Ciara, because with, well, I mean, they did actually find an opening with the immunity right there. So I guess they were correct to be concerned about the Ciara, but I mean, that was their main damage dealer, but they still do have damage from the Bolverk. They still do have damage with the additional damage in Juno. I think that maybe unintentionally, well, I mean, you guys know this, but unintentionally, these oracles have all been buffed since the additional damage, since the artifacts came into the game. Let's go on to the next match, but I'll explain more. Next match, Wusa first pick, but this is a different, I don't think we've seen this player before, into a Gani Hathor. Gani Hathor, Ela, Diana. That's too many crazy, toxic, ridiculous combinations for words. Okay, and the opponent's picking the Shungpung, which is a crazy, toxic combination by himself. So, that's a lot of cooldown resets, though. That's a lot of cooldown resets. He did get the strip at least on 3 things. Attack increase. skill cooldown on the Lulu, so Lulu cannot cleanse and do immunity. So he's looking to hopefully steal some turns with the Antares here and start taking down this Hathor with the additional, between the additional damage and the attack power buff and crit buff, he's looking to try to take down this Hathor. So, and then this, the Korean player that's using the Ela is trying to heal up the Hathor so that she doesn't die. I don't know why I say that if it's not obvious. Like, guys, the one player is going to try to not die and beat the other player, but the other player is also going to try. Bagel, how long you been doing this? I mean, too long? Too long? Been a YouTuber for too long, guys. That's how you know. The one player's trying to win, but the enemy, you know, they're trying to win too. It's, they don't have... Okay, so here's the thing, though. They don't have that much damage aside from the Wusa on this Ela player's side. So as much as the Gany Hathor, that's kind of the drawback to Gany Hathor, is it doesn't really provide a lot of damage there. Gany does have a pretty decent damage with his skill 3, but that's one of the reasons that Wusa being with these things is so strong, because Wusa is a great counter to Gany Hathor, and then Wusa also provides the damage that that Gany Hathor kind of lacks, and also it's a water unit which is strong against things like Antares, things like Juno, which are generally counters to Gany Hathor. So Juno is a pretty strong counter to Gany Hathor. That's why we stopped seeing between that and the additional damage. That's why we stopped seeing as much Gany Hathor, but we've started to see it. We've started to see it yet again. So Wise Owl Soul. Let's see if they have. I mean, I'm surprised they don't just have constant. Like the enemy's team is actually awake. That is the shocking part. I'm very surprised. Also, I think that they missed some CCs as well. That was a lot of damage there. That was a lot of damage. No defense break or anything. Still, the additional damage. I mean, generally, the Fire Lich has good additional damage in artifacts. I don't know this person's specific runes, but that's generally what people are going for with the Fire Lich's artifacts. So he's going to do a lot of damage regardless, because he's got multi-hits there. Multi-hits there, multi-hits with skill 1 as well. He only did like 1.6 on that, though. So, GG. That was surprising, but I think that they actually missed some CCs here and there. And they could have done, I think they could have definitely gone differently, but GG, it's crazy to see the Ela with the Gany Hathor and actually not coming out with a victory is absolutely crazy. Get ready for some more Gany Hathor, guys. It's going to be a very, oh, they have a Lima too. Okay, so they got the Vanessa, they got the Lima, bans out the Hathor, so we're not going to see Gany Hathor, we're just going to see Gany Lima. Gany Lima, I suppose. Lima's going to have a lot of access to her skill 3 between the Gany and between the Ela. She's going to have a lot of access to that skill 3. So, and the TR's really gonna struggle to find an opening over there. So, passing time, okay. Do they get enough additional turns? He's down to like about half HP, and now he's up to 80% HP. Okay, so much heals, so much invincibility, so much immunity. It's gonna be really hard to take all that down with all the resets. This is so toxic, but this is kind of what we want to see. We want to see the toxicity. We want to see all the invincibility, all the immunity, all the heals. So nasty. Do they get an additional turn? No, they do not. All right. I want to see. There's not really a whole... I mean, the only damage that they have from that side, it looks... I don't want to say it looks fairly even now, because it doesn't quite look fairly even. But the only damage they have is the skill 1 from the Lima and then the Vanessa. So Vanessa's down, so they're lacking damage now. So it really all depends how much Antares goes crazy right now, because all the damage they have, how much damage do they have with additional damage in artifacts on Lima, is the question. Not enough. There's really not enough. So Antares can survive quite a decent amount of time with that lack of additional damage artifacts. As long as he procs, he needs to actually proc to survive. Okay. He's got the stink hole ready. I know that's not the skill. Listen, I know that's not the skill name. I just wanted to call it stink hole. All right. So could have more damage on both of their damage dealers. He's got the stun, but he got the additional turn there. They don't have anything to reset that Wusa now, so Wusa is going to be toxic. So Wusa just needs to look for openings. So that's GG already. I mean, that was kind of GG. As soon as you start taking the first unit down, unless you have a unit on the board that can solo things, like 4-3 is just already a massive advantage. So half the time is just trying to take the first unit down as quickly as possible. unless there's a Nana on the field and things like that, or unless there's things that can solo, like sometimes Dragon Knights can solo, sometimes Fire Striker can solo, etc. Sometimes Diana can solo. There's a lot of things that can solo, but generally you're in a very favorable position if you can take something down as soon as possible. I feel like most of the excitement from these Ela matches is actually coming from different units, but she is just a support unit. Usually the support units don't really show them doing anything to... Wait, did we already see this match? No, this is different. It just looks kind of similar because there's also a Bulwark here as well. So, Valiant Boar Soul, increase cooltime, decrease cooltime, increase attack gauge. Do they get a they didn't get the Violent proc there. Okay, so they might be able, no, they're not going to be able to now. I was going to say they might be able to actually take that down. That's still not, she's still going to have 1 HP left. She's not going to be completely down. Heals up the CR a little bit. Gets the bomb, all right. Gets the mountain power, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Does Ela proc? She does not proc. CR is going to be able to turn cycle a decent amount, though. Actually, she has skill 3. She has skill 3, because she was completely skill cooldown. So, and then she heals CR back up. So this is already GG at this point. CR is just going to turn cycle so much. Wusa doesn't even need to use his skill 3 if he doesn't want to. I mean, he can, but it's kind of... he doesn't really need to. He could just try to go for some skill 1s sleeps. He could try to go for some skill 2s. Or not try to go, like, he can just keep using skill 2s. And he doesn't really even need to use skill 3s. So, yeah, that's already GG. And she's got so much access. Look how much access it gives to the Dark Sylphid with this Ela on the field. Yep, he's not even going for the, because I'm sure he had it at that point. But he's not even going for the skill 3. He doesn't want to stack Bulwark. He's like, you know what, let me just, he's not using any immunity. He doesn't need to. What does he need to do? Like, any immunity he puts up would just give them a chance to win. At this point, he's got it in the bag. The opponent is just like, maybe he'll use immunity. Like, he's not going to use immunity. He's not stupid. He's definitely not going to use... He's already won. He's already won the battle. He's not going to lose it for... Well, you know, you never know. Sometimes they do lose it for themselves, but very rarely. Okay, now he goes for the immunity, but that's exactly what I was saying. He doesn't even need to use that at that point. So, additional turn, and... Oh, I thought she had her skill 3. I wasn't counting the cooldowns. I'm so guilty of that, though, is sometimes that works against me, is just not counting cooldowns. I'm like, oh, maybe they have it, maybe they don't. It's like, if you would have just paid more attention, you would have known if they had it or if they didn't have it, and you would, they're not even conceding. Like, they know they lost. Like, you know that the person on the other side knows that they lost, but they're like, I'm not going to concede. I'm going to make it very painful for you. You're going to have to beat me. Like, you're going to have to play the entire game. I just stepped... They probably just stepped away from their phone or threw it in the toilet or something. Has anyone else ever done that? I think that this is also a different player that we haven't seen yet so far. And another first pick Wusa, as usual. Asima only has 1 AoE stripper that gets banned out, though. So they have 2 immunities on the left-hand side, and then there's only... I mean, they still have the strip with the Diana, but aside from that, there's no more AoE strip over there, so... And then this combination of Ela and Kali is just going to give Kali full access to her skill 3 constantly. Everything's going to have attack power buff. Everything's going to have speed buff. Diana is getting very gutsy with the Antares there on the field. That was very gutsy for that Diana. So, yeah, didn't wind up stunning the Diana, but still, very gutsy play. So it goes for skill 1 on Diana. I mean, the real thing is just trying to cut in the Diana in human form. 34k on that, and it's basically game at this point. But it's an interesting combination of Kali and Ela together, giving her so much access to her, let me see, so many Totemists. This is how you know units are good. Like, the Totemists are actually... not all of them. Not the fire one. The fire one has she's got some use, but it's like very limited use. Not really. That's why you don't see her too much. It's not a very meta unit. You've seen probably the light one is probably being used in Arte more than the fire one, just because even though so many less people have the light one, just because she's so much more useful. Or maybe the fire one is being used, but yeah, that's game. I don't know why. People just... I think people are just throwing their phones, and then the match continues on because people just throw their phones. I think that's what's happening for these ones. Yep. But yeah, that's just a testament to how good Ella is that the people that are using Ella, like we got to see a handful of people using Ella, even though there's so few people that have her, the people that pull her and do RTA are using her in a lot of matches. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you as always. Very cool unit. I'll see you guys always in the next one.